everyone. Welcome to today's Pet Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Roberta Westbrook. Happy New Year. Welcome to the first show of the year. We're so happy to have you. We've got an exciting show for you today. It's the new year, and every year we are looking forward to new goals, to new aspirations, to New Year resolutions. So if you've made New Year resolutions for yourself, consider including your pet in those resolutions and seeing how you can improve your pet's health and your relationship together in this new year. So if you have any questions about having a new dog in this new year and how to make that work in the best capacity, please put those questions in the chat, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for the new year for your new pet. Okay, so before we get started with all that wonderful information, please meet our wonderful pet of the week. Our pet of the week this week is Arabella. Arabella is a wonderful dog. She is so sweet and playful and active. She's going to make someone a wonderful family pet. She's about 3 years old. She's female, spayed. We think she's a Shar-Pei mix. And she is really, really sweet. She especially loves playing with tennis balls. When she sees a tennis ball, she just lights up and she goes after it. So it'd be a great dog to take outside, take to the park, and do some playing fetch with her. So come on down and meet Arabella, meet other dogs and cats and puppies and kittens and rabbits and ferrets and all the animals that we have available for adoption here on the campus for all animals. There's no appointment necessary, and we are open every day of the week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So bring your family, bring your friends, and come on down and spend some time with us and think about taking in a new pet to be part of your forever family. So let's talk about the new year and all of the new year aspirations that we have for our pets. There's so many things that we can do to improve the lives of our pets each year. So we're going to give you some information about how you can start to do that. The biggest thing is this year, January, is Train Your Pet Month. This is the month where you want to get your pets in shape. You want to teach them all those tricks that you've been trying to teach them, intending to teach them over the last couple of months or years. This is the month to do it. This is the time that you want to get your pets on track and teach them those important tricks. For example, there's some basic tricks that we think your dog, especially, we'll focus on dogs for now, that they should know. And these tricks are not only important for your pet's safety, but during the training process, you can create a really special bond between you and your pet. When you are training your pet and you are teaching them how to do new tricks, they become attached to you. There's a bond that's created there. They learn to trust you. They learn to depend on you, and your communication is improved. So not only is it good for safety and the bond, but it's also fun. Teaching your pet new tricks can be very, very fun, and it's mentally stimulating for them, which helps improve their overall health and help them to live a longer life. So it's important to get your pet to do simple things like walk properly on a leash, to sit on command, to stay on command. So let's say you need your dog to stay and sit at the front door when the door is open. That's a safety issue, and it's very important. So how to stay, how to, you can teach them certainly fun things like lay down and high five and roll over. Those are fun, entertaining tricks that you can work on for the new year. So see if you can set some realistic goals for you and your pet this year in terms of training, and we can have some fun with it. So what else can I help you with?
And so how often, should we do the training, or is it something we can add daily, especially when there's work and there's family and other commitments, time is of the issue? How can we easily add training to our daily routine?
You can do training with your pet for as little as 5 to 10 minutes a day. So it doesn't have to take a long time. It's just being consistent. So even if you do 5 or 10 minutes a day, that consistency and that repetition and doing it in the same way every day can get your pet to learn a particular new trick. And dogs are very, very smart learners. Cats too. They're very smart and fast learners. So, if you're teaching your dog how to sit, doing that over and over 20 or 30 times in a row, which might only take 5 to 10 minutes, they can learn to sit in one session many, many times. So it doesn't have to take a long time. You can do it by watching videos. You can look online, watching videos and getting written information about how to teach your dog to sit and how to walk on a leash. So those are ways that you can get it started, and have your family do it as well. So if you have family members, make it a family activity so that everybody knows what to do to teach the dog the new trick. And that way you're doing it consistently and repetitively, and you're more likely to be successful.
And then training isn't just, sit and stay. It can be behavior too. So what is the time to call the professionals?
Yeah, that's a great question. Oftentimes we think, I can teach my dog simple tricks, but sometimes there are more serious behavior concerns that you may have with your dog that you might not want to take on yourself. So for example, leash training, you can teach your dog how to walk on a leash pretty easily. But if you're having significant trouble with your dog behaving on a leash, maybe he or she is pulling extensively, or they don't want to walk on a leash at all, and they're sort of rolling on the leash or refusing to walk, you may want to contact a professional, a veterinarian or a veterinary behaviorist, and see if they can give you some extra tips. Other hits that you might need a professional for serious conditions like separation anxiety. So when your dog becomes destructive, or has anxiety whenever they are away from you for an extended period of time, that might require a professional to help sort through those issues. If you have a dog that's like an escape artist, maybe you have a dog that jumps out of the yard or breaks out of the kennel when you're away, these also might be conditions where you want to reach out to a professional and see if you can get some help. And then certainly anytime your pet shows aggression. So if you're dealing with an aggressive dog in any way, they're aggressive to children, to certain groups of people, men, or your dog has something like food aggression. If you're dealing with aggression at all, it's really important to contact a specialist, because oftentimes when you take these things on yourself, you could inadvertently be making these problems worse and you may not realize it. So I would say contact a professional if you have a serious behavior problem and you're not familiar with how to get your pet out of that behavior problem.
And obviously exercise is on everyone's resolution list. How can we, add exercise to our pets other than just the, normal walks?
Yeah, exercise is always huge. It's a huge part of our New Year resolution. So absolutely, exercise is important. And you can go on your daily walks like you have been. That's important, getting that exercise in, that endurance in. That's always important. But if you're looking for more exciting things to do with your pet, you can take your dog to an agility course. There are certainly some commercial businesses out there that have agility courses, and you can teach your dog to do agility. That would be a fun new way of exercising and add some mental stimulation as well. You can certainly consider taking your dog to doggy daycare so that your dog can interact with other dogs. That's important to know your dog's personality and whether he or she would like to be around lots of dogs for the day. But that's another way to get them some mental stimulation, some play with other dogs instead of just going on a walk. And those are some ways that you can sort of increase the exercise and the activity in their daily lives.
And you mentioned mental stimulation. We know walks are so important for dogs for that. But is it more beneficial for them to take their time and sniff every 2 inches, or should we focus on the distance of a walk?
That's a great question. When we're taking our dogs on our walk, we oftentimes have a mission, right? Let's go out, poop, pee, and let's get back inside. And we sort of have a mission. We want them to complete that job, and we want to get back inside. But taking your pet on a walk, taking your dog on a walk is actually very mentally stimulating for them. The sights, the smells, the sounds, they soak that all in, and they're doing a lot of analysis in their brains about what's happening in the environment. And even though they may not be doing a lot of physical exercise on a slow walk, when they're sniffing and they're taking in the sights and sounds, it's a lot of mental stimulation and a lot of mental exercise. And this can actually serve to sort of wear them out a little bit. They can become exhausted from all of the mental stimulation. We've experienced that as people too. We're just sort of mentally drained. And this can be done in a healthy way. So letting your dog take his or her time on the walk, sniffing different areas, not being in such a rush to get right back inside, but letting them experience the sight and sound. It's really good for their health, again, their mental stimulation, and can help their overall longevity. And you can always pair that with a walk, a longer walk in the middle of the day or the end of the day. But give them some time to stop and smell the roses.
And I wonder if it helps them like know their environment in case they get out the door, somebody leaves the door open and they're like, oh, I think this smells like my house.
Yeah, sure. Taking them on longer walks and having them be familiar with their surroundings can certainly help if they ever get out. That familiarity can help them to stay in a familiar space. Maybe they'll be less likely to go further because they want to stay in that familiar area. It'd be easier for you to reunite with them. But also it may help them become familiar enough that they can find their way back home. So yes, giving them sort of a parameter that they're used to can certainly help.
Another question that comes in is, body weight for pets. How do we know if we're overfeeding them or even underfeeding them?
Yes, nutrition, again, at the top of the list when it comes to New Year's resolutions. Why not consider, your pet's health and nutrition and body weight as well when you're working on, on your exercise and getting that New Year beach body. So absolutely. So how will you know if you need to make a diet change with your pet? This is the thing, because not every pet needs a diet change. Number one is you want to look at your pet and determine whether a diet change might be necessary by looking at a couple of things. Number one is their body condition, just their overall weight. You want to make sure that your pet has what we call a good body condition score. Veterinary medical professionals will score the body shape of a dog on a scale, typically on a scale of 1 to 9. And normal is 4 to 5. Now, what does normal look like? You can take a look at Arabella, for example. Yeah. Arabella's about a 5 on the scale. She's in pretty good body condition. What that means is when you look at the dog from the top down, when you're standing over the top of them and you're looking at them from the top down, you want to be able to see a curve in their waist. You want to see the waistline taper in just behind the rib cage. You want the waist to go in, just like we want our waist to go in. If you're looking at your dog from the side profile, you also want there to be a tucked up waist. So if you're following the line of the chest from the front of the dog to the back, once you get past the rib cage, you want to see the waist of your dog tuck in a little bit. You want them to have a waistline as opposed to being square or round or having the waist come out. So those are key. Then when it comes to the ribs, when you're petting your dog, you want to be able to feel the ribs. You don't want to necessarily be able to see them. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule. Certainly, there are some breeds of dogs that typically have very, very little body fat, and they are supposed to be very thin, and you should normally see their ribs a little bit. Sight hounds like greyhounds and Italian greyhounds, those Salukis, these dogs typically have much thinner body profiles, and you can certainly see their ribs and their hip bones a little bit more than a typical dog. But if you have a typical breed, it's not one of the sight hound type breeds that are typically very thin. You want to be able to feel the ribs, but not see them individually. You don't want to be able to see the bones of the hips. So you want them to have a nice little soft cushion, but you don't want them to start to look round. So that's one thing, body condition. But then if your pet has either skin or gastrointestinal issues, recurrent skin issues or recurrent gastrointestinal issues, this could be a sign that they have a diet anomaly as well. So sometimes diet can really, really help to improve the skin condition and can also really help to improve gastrointestinal issues. So looking at overall body weight, skin condition, and gastrointestinal health, those categories can help you determine whether or not your pet needs a diet change. If you're having issues in one of those 3 areas, please contact your family veterinarian. Talk to them and let them help you decide how to change the diet, what to change it to, and whether or not it needs to be changed at all.
And let's say ours is, a little bit on the chunky scale. Obviously, like portion control versus free feeding, it might be better. So how do we switch from, they're so used to just free feeding?
Yeah, and it does depend on the individual animal and even the species of animal. So cats, for example, in nature are sort of used to free feeding. And so, it's not uncommon for people to free feed their cats. They tend to be grazers a little bit. Lots of cats are grazers, and they tend to do very well that way because their metabolism will continue to stay consistent throughout the day. And so grazing for cats is pretty common. As opposed to dogs, we tend to feed dogs in meals, timed meals throughout the day. And so it just really depends on your personal pet and maybe even the species. So, either one can be fine as long as your pet is in good health, and there's not necessarily one right or wrong way to do it. You just want to make sure that you're not overfeeding or underfeeding. Again, you can contact your family veterinarian when it comes to that, whether or not your pet needs to be free fed or not. There are certainly some health conditions too where free feeding might be necessary. For example, animals that are really, really thin and underweight, sometimes when we're trying to put on weight, we may do a little bit more free feeding. If you have a pet that is pregnant or nursing, we will do free feeding during those times. So it really depends on their life stage and the species and what your veterinarian recommends for your pet.
And then, for like treats, should we start feeding them healthier treats? Can we switch veggies for their normal, kibble treat?
Healthier treats are always good. So if you want to substitute some healthy treats for your pet, some things that you can consider adding to your pet's diet are things like broccoli. My dog loves broccoli, asparagus, carrots, green beans. All of these are healthy vegetables that you can add to your pet's diet that they might really enjoy. Peas, even, they might really enjoy, and can be healthy alternatives to maybe some of the more fatty treats that you can just buy over the counter. And again, these fatty treats that you buy over the counter, they have a lot of calories, and so you should be considering that when you're feeding your pet. If you're feeding your pet a full meal, but you're also supplementing all these treats, that's adding calories, that's adding weight. So substitute something healthier a couple of times a day, or at least a couple of times a week, and you can keep that weight under control.
That's always a great point, because we're thinking, oh, we're feeding, our pet based on the instructions on the bag. Why are they gaining so much weight? But we're not understanding that every single family member is giving 5 to 10 treats a day.
That's right. That's exactly right. What you might consider doing is, as a family, saying, okay, how much or how many treats is my pet going to get a day? You can put those in a little Ziploc baggie. You can make them for each day. And then your family has to share those treats. And you can even break them into smaller pieces. Yeah. That way, people get more opportunity to spoil the dog, and it's not actually adding any more pounds.
It's all about portion control.
It's all about portion control, let me tell you.
All right. So for our cat people, how can we spruce up, our cat's home life? Most cats, we think they're bored, so maybe they're not, or how do we want to, spruce it up?
Yeah, you want to, help your cats out too. They need mental stimulation. They need interaction. They want to, have that fun and that enrichment on a daily basis as well. Believe it or not, if you want to take this on, you could potentially try to teach your cat how to walk on a leash and a harness. So if you want to go that route, that's something that you can try. There are lots of cats out there who don't mind having a collar or a harness on and can walk on a leash. So there's that. But if you want to keep your cat indoors and you're looking for something to do in the home, make sure your cat has a nice tall cat tower or cat tree with multiple levels. And you can hide treats in there. You can hide catnip in there. These are really, really good ways that your cat can get exercise because they're climbing up and down the tree. Most cat trees have a place for scratching, like a scratching post. That's enrichment for cats. It's a natural behavior for them. And then if you're adding treats to it, it adds a whole new level of excitement and enrichment because now they're encouraged to climb up and down the tree looking for treats. Another thing that you can do with that cat tree is position it in front of a window because cats love to sit in high places and look at what's happening around them. So looking out a window, they can watch cars go by. They may be able to watch squirrels and birds. And it's really exciting for them to be able to do that. So to give them sort of a perching spot in front of a window can be wonderful, great enrichment for them and help to encourage them throughout this new year.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but for dog toys, should we rotate them or should we usually just offer all the toys in a box, free range for them. But then we, find ourselves buying more toys every single month. So should we rotate them? And that way in 2 months, they're like, oh, this is a new toy I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I think rotating it could be a very good idea so that there's always something fresh and new for them to explore. You also want to make sure that you're rotating the toys out for safety because if you have, for example, like a plush or cloth toy, these can get dirty. They're full of saliva and the saliva can have food particles in it and it can grow bacteria. So you want to make sure that you're cleaning these as well, that you wash them periodically and switch them out just for cleaning purposes. Even if you have, tennis balls, or kind of a fun game like this, switch these out so that your dog is always having a new opportunity to have a fun time. So yeah, switching toys out and putting treats and food puzzles is really good mental stimulation. And instead of putting them all at one time in your toy basket in your living room, bringing them out as a little surprise could be a fun thing to do.
And then are the other healthy things we should do throughout the year or at the beginning of the year?
Oh, absolutely. So, this can be part of your New Year resolution to just stay on top of your pet's health. So making regular veterinary visits, such as making sure your pet is current on their vaccinations. If you haven't taken your pet to the veterinarian in a while, taking them to look at their vaccination history, making sure they're not expired on any of their vaccines, that would be a good New Year resolution. Considering, making sure that they have clean teeth. Maybe you haven't ever thought about dental health in your pet. That could be a good New Year resolution. I'm going to make sure I get my pet's teeth cleaned this year and that I stay on top of that and that I start brushing my pet's teeth. Maybe you have a pet that has long hair or very thick coat, and grooming can be on your New Year resolution list, that you're going to take your pet to get groomed on a regular basis to make sure that their coat stays healthy. There's so many things that you can do in addition to exercise and nutrition that you can do to keep your pet healthy. And again, grooming, vaccines, dental care. There's lots of things that you can do to increase the long life of your pet.
And it's a great time to go to the vet and get that 12-month, subscription almost of heartworm medicine.
Yes, this is a great time. It's January, it's the beginning of the year. Please make sure that your pet has that year supply of heartworm prevention medication. So again, we're here in Texas, we're in the South. Mosquitoes are everywhere, almost year round. Mosquitoes transmit a potentially life-threatening parasite called heartworms. Heartworms are an actual worm. It's an actual parasite that can live in the heart and cause heart failure. It's very easy and simple and inexpensive to prevent. But if we don't prevent it and your pet comes down with heartworm disease, it can be very expensive and really difficult to treat your pet. So yes, take your pet to the veterinarian, get the heartworm prevention that you can give every month or sometimes less frequently depending on the product. Get flea prevention and tick prevention and intestinal parasite prevention. There's lots of things that you can do to keep your pet healthy. Your veterinarian can help you work through that. Just get your pet into the vet and your veterinarian will help you work through all of the other details. Well, we thank you so much for joining us. It's a new year. Happy 2023. We're excited to be here to help you answer questions about your pet and really to be a facilitator for helping you find a new pet to join your family. So please consider coming on down with us and being part of our extended family. We are gearing up as part of our New Year resolution to get in shape and to also help raise money to help us to continue doing what we're doing. We are going to be participating in the Chevron Houston Marathon on January 14th. So if you are an active person, you might consider joining the Houston SPCA's charity team and doing the 5K or the half marathon or the marathon. You can go to houstonspca.org and you can look for information on joining us and participating in that marathon. And even if you don't want to exercise, but you want to support us in our walk and you want to donate, please go to our website and find out how you can donate and support those of us who are going to be out there running and trying to drop a few pounds maybe that weekend. So there's so many ways that you can be a part of our family. We're grateful for your support. We're grateful that you are sticking with us and helping us every week to do what we do best, which is save animals and prevent cruelty and abuse and animal suffering. So thank you so much. We will see you next week. In the meantime, come on down and visit us and check out our website. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.